Well, there have only ever been 2 matches that the Springboks managed to win at Suncorp Stadium over the Australians. It wasn't to be this past weekend, and sadly succumbing to yet another defeat in what's been a really tough year for Springbok rugby. So much to reflect on, and as you heard from Motshidisi, I've got Nick Mallett in studio with me, and Hanyani, Shimange, and Motsi should never put in words like the marvelous or the wonderful. I don't know why that was awesome. Oh, shimmy, just shimmy. No, kidding. But good to have you guys in studio. And Nick, we had a lot to say after that result. It's unfortunately not looking good for the Springboks. A lot of fear that this is not the bottom of the trough just yet. It could get worse.
Well, we did have a bit to say, but I think it was justified. The team played against a very weak Australian side that had lacked confidence. We got a 14-point start, thanks to a very good build-up to the first try and an interception, and then we weren't able to hold on to that. So it was disappointing. If I can just say one thing, I don't think that Alistair Coetzee has had a difficult start to his career. People are saying it has been difficult, but it isn't. It wasn't a difficult fixture list. To play 3 tests at home against Ireland, who came third in the Six Nations and was a depleted Ireland at that, to then play at home against Argentina, away against Argentina, and away against a pretty easy to beat Australian side. Those 6 games are all winnable, and we've only won 3 of them. So the public and we in studio, the analysts, it's normal that we're a little bit concerned about what's going on.
Shimi, I'll tell you another thing that's not awesome is the Wallabies side. They really, as Nick says, haven't been a good team. They've been a team in disarray. A lot of people calling for the head of their coach, Michael Cheika, in Australia. For them to come out and beat the Springboks, and yes, it wasn't a comprehensive victory, that will be quite concerning. This is definitely, as Nick says, a beatable Wallaby side.
Look, it was pure desperation for the Wallabies, considering the season they had. Michael Cheika, Coach of the Year last year. This time, the Wallaby team has definitely gone backwards badly since the World Cup. So I hear he signed another 3-year contract. So in terms of firing him, he's not going to go anywhere. For them, it's just about rebuilding and getting momentum again. And just to add on to what Nick's saying, I think the frustration with the Springboks is the lack of momentum. You know, it seems like, you know, the team, forget about the result, we're just not improving. We saw glimpses against Ireland once or twice, but in general, it's just a lack of improvement. That's probably frustrating a lot of people, and that's where all the questions are coming from. Yeah,
and some tough questions that certainly have been asked, that will be asked. I just wonder if the answers, Mats, will match the toughness of the questions. And in fact, when I look at today's Twitter poll, it does ask 1 or 2 really tough questions.
This really is a tough one, and we're going to be hoping that everybody at home also gets in on the conversation. Do use that hashtag SSRugby. Let's talk a bit about the poll question, and it's all about really focusing on the Springboks, and especially leading up to that match against the All Blacks. What is the biggest hindrance to the Springbok performance? That is the question on the board. Coaching, administration, or selection? And if you are going to comment, don't forget to also just elaborate on what you mean by the 3. Some of you may even say all 3 of them. Let us know why you think that. Is it the coaching, the administration, or the selection? You can get a hold of us on these platforms. Follow at SuperSport TV and at SS_TMO. Don't forget to follow at SuperSport Blitz as well for the breaking news as well as update. Gentlemen, I'll bring you in on this one. What do you think is the biggest hindrance, Hanyani?
Yeah, look, my question is, if the Boks had won this weekend, would we be asking that question?
Yes, of course you would be. Of course you would be, because
okay. No, I'm just asking.
We are. I mean, we at the moment we're sitting in a situation where we were second in the world and have been consistently challenging New Zealand as the second best team in the world, and now we're 4th. And if we lose against the All Blacks badly and then we don't perform well at the end of your tour, you know, sides like Argentina are improving, Wales are improving, Ireland are improving, England certainly have already improved. So we might find ourselves down at 5th or 6th place. And you have to ask questions about South Africa's rugby. All those 3 are valid. All those 3 questions are really valid. The administration, are we getting the best possible result from our competitions, from the way in which we coach our players, and also the way in which we select our players? So I think it's quite right that we ask those questions.
But Nick, just a quick one. Do you think then, you know, this has all got to do with a systematic issue? If we've hit rock bottom, we lose badly against the All Blacks, what's the solution to fix it?
We haven't hit rock bottom because I remember when Strali was coaching and we took 50 points against New Zealand in Pretoria. We went on tour, we lost to France by 20-odd points, we lost to Scotland, and then we took 50 points by England. Now, if ever that was rock bottom, that was it. You know, we were really in dire straits. The one thing is that all 6 of the games that Alistair's coached have been competitive. That we've finished within 7 points, or won or lost. And so this weekend is a pretty critical one for him, in that he's up against clearly the best team in the world that generally beats teams by 20 to 30 points. So if we can hold them to 10, it's not light at the end of the tunnel, but at least we can feel we've got something to shout about.
But don't you think maybe the difference then, X, was that we had under 20 teams that were winning World Cups consistently? This time we don't. So you could turn around, like England now. You look at their development, that all comes from junior structures that are doing well. So that's why the question is, you know, is it coaching, admin? Because you had under 20 teams that were winning, and those guys finally graduated to when Jake took over. They'd been the All Blacks at under 20, under 21 level. They did it at senior level.
But Shima, I've got to ask you, though, do you think you would have seen it slightly differently had we gone out and won this past weekend? Or would it have needed to be a really comprehensive 30-point type victory?
No, I think you start from Super Rugby. You have to re-look. You know, our Super Rugby results weren't good enough. The New Zealand teams were better. It's just that competition structure that made it look like we're doing well. But at the end, you know, if look at it...
Australians
were terrible. We weren't good. So how do we expect the national team to be good? That's the end result. You know, if we had done well Super Rugby, Lions had won, we had South African teams in the final, beating New Zealand teams consistently, it would filter through to the national team, and it's happened before.
Right, well, they say sometimes no news is good news, and unfortunately we've got a lot of news.
Lots of news coming through, and I'll pick up on what the guys were talking about, saying that England, you know, their junior structures have been doing so well. That's probably why England is sitting at number 2 in the world at the moment. But it's the Wallabies that have really cashed in as far as the rankings are concerned, overtaking the Springboks in the rankings, in the world rankings. All Blacks still at the top, and they are followed, of course, by England, who have certainly been doing very well over the year as well. And then news also coming through, Justin Marshall reckons that New Zealand's B team could beat the Boks.
I thought he was a friend, Marshy.
He is. He is a friend. He's just being honest. He's actually just being dead honest. And, you know, when I said last Saturday that we're a B division team, as are Australia, so are Ireland, Wales and Scotland, and the only 2 teams who at the moment are A division teams are New Zealand and possibly England, because it's, you know, England, you can't... you've got to give them credit for going to Australia and winning 3 games in a row in Australia. That's an outstanding effort. So those 2 teams are the best in the world, and the rest, we've got a long way to go.
Awesome, Shimange.
Yeah, it hurts. Look, I think the only people that will be upset with that comment is the All Black squad. Because I can guarantee Alistair will tell the Springboks if they needed extra motivation, which I hope they don't.
There you go.
There it is right there. But, you know, maybe valid in this point. We speak about the New Zealand depth, the 3 or 4 flags they've got, Sevilla, Sam Cane would walk into any international team. Maybe it's a valid statement, but he's going to have to, well, the team's going to have to back it up now.
And our very own Nick Mallett saying the Boks record is in real peril. 17 wins on the trot. Do you think we'll still keep it?
It was the Boks team that got 17 on the trot. The first one was won by Carl Duplessis' team, and then we had 16 in a row. But that record will get beaten one day, and if it's beaten by this New Zealand side, it'll be justifiably beaten by a really good side. Remember, England, I think, are on 14 wins as well, and they don't play New Zealand this year, so England might go past it as well. As I said, records are there to be beaten. I will say one thing, though. I think the 16 in a row in South Africa won't be beaten by a South African coach for a very long time.
Oh, shade!
I'm pretty sure.
You just said.
Do I take a bit?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you what. I'm the only coach alive who has a win record against the All Blacks. Take that, huh?
Boom! There you go. You heard it here. There you go. But it's certainly going to be
rather an
interesting run-in for the All Blacks, who are looking good. And at this point in time, it really doesn't look as though their win record is in any threat at all.